There's a firestorm of reaction to how the NBA is handling a conflict between its business in China and its approach toward free speech and human rights. It started with a tweet from Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey that read, quote, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." That tweet prompted swift backlash from the Chinese government and Chinese business partners who pulled their money from the Rockets. Now, Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta tweeted that Morey didn't speak on behalf of the team. The NBA, which has spent years trying to develop its business in China, called Morey's tweet regrettable. Morey went on to delete that original tweet and posted an apology saying, quote, "I did not intend my tweet to cause any offense to Rockets fans and friends of mine in China." Mike Pesca is the host of Slate Magazine's podcast, The Gist, and author of Upon Further Review, The Greatest What-Ifs in Sports History, and he joins me now. Mike Pesca, welcome to the NewsHour. Let's start with that NBA statement. You tweeted calling it cowardly. Adam Silver is clearly being very careful with the language he is using. Why do you think the NBA is reacting the way that they are?
Well, yes, it's cowardly and it's shocking because so far Adam Silver in his tenure as commissioner has been progressive, has been on the right side of issues, has listened to the concerns of the players, and I would also say by extension employees like Daryl Morey. The answer is there's so much money at stake. It's not just the perception of, oh, maybe there are potential customers that we can offend if we take this or that social or political stance that is maybe dividing America. When it comes to China, NBA China, which is the branded entity, is worth, according to an interview in Forbes, $4 billion. Tencent, which is the streaming service, paid $1.5 billion to stream NBA games over the next 5 years. And I have to tell you, if you look at the market, 1.4 billion Chinese potential customers means that Game 6 of the NBA Finals last year was actually better watched in China than in the United States. They don't have as much purchasing power, but this isn't just to him some hypothetical, oh, there could be money on the line or there might be some money on the line. There is a significant amount of money. That said, the response by ownership, and I think the shocking and shameful response by Adam Silver just left a lot of jaws on the ground, given really the de minimis statement of support for these Hong Kong protesters that Daryl Morey tweeted.
Let me ask you about the response from the players, too. I mean, it's not rare for us to see NBA players speaking out on issues that matter to them. They often wear protest or social justice T-shirts during game warm-ups. LeBron James and Steph Curry are among the most vocal critics of President Trump. Enes Kanter, too, has been, a member of the Boston Celtics now, who is of Turkish origin, has been a vocal critic of Turkish President Erdogan. We haven't really seen much of a response from the players. Do you think that there's been a chilling effect to some degree from this reaction?
Well, we did see James Harden, possibly the best player in the NBA, certainly the best player in the Houston Rockets, essentially apologize. And we've also seen, not just from players, but an owner, a Canadian Chinese owner of the Brooklyn Nets, Joe Tsai. He put out a statement that tried to explain how hurtful Daryl Morey's tweet was, but I just can't quite take that at face value because he did things like talk about Hong Kong being a separatist movement. I mean, these are Chinese people asking for human rights, the same kind of First Amendment rights or due process rights that Americans have. And to bring it back to your questions about why is there this disconnect between when American players protest or make a statement about American issues and Daryl Morey making a pretty gentle statement or obvious statement about Hong Kong, it just shows the extreme sensitivities of China. It's the difference. What if you make a criticism in a free society like the United States or a criticism of an autocratic society for being autocratic like China? And I know China gives the NBA a lot of money, but it comes at a cost. We're seeing the cost.
So, Mike, very briefly, we have less than a minute left, but how does the NBA move forward here? Obviously, they have a huge potential market already, a huge existing market in China. We heard Adam Silver qualify his remarks today a little bit to say that Daryl Morey is supported in terms of his ability to exercise his freedom of expression. Can they continue to walk that line?
Well, I think what Adam Silver wants to do is make it go away. I think that he does not want the Rockets to fire really one of the great GMs in the sport and a very smart person and a person whose influence goes beyond the sport. So that's number one. And number two, I think Adam Silver will try to say the right things for both his constituencies, the U.S. audience and the Chinese audience. Perhaps he was surprised by the backlash, but he really shouldn't have been, because what Daryl Morey did was, as I have said so many times here, pretty de minimis. And if you can't make a stance between, or if you think that it's a true controversy between the repressive regime of China and what the protesters are standing for, you don't know the real meaning of controversy, I'd say.
Mike Pesca is the host of the Slate podcast, The Gist. Thanks very much for your time.
You're welcome.